a Friday evening. I've finished work and I've come up to the plot, and the weather's changed. The temperature dropped by sort of 5 or 6 degrees during the day, so it was sweltering hot yesterday. Today is a lovely temperature. The sun's just sort of warm enough this evening, but not overbearing. So firstly, hope you're all well. I'm up here to take stock of jobs, and there's quite a few. So I harvested all the onions this week, and in place I've put some little gem lettuces there. These potatoes, these are Charlotte. I've already harvested one bucket of those, which have been delicious, and I'm going to shortly be doing another one. The blueberries, I haven't got a huge amount, but yeah, definitely blueberries, so that's exciting. And the pumpkins, I think I mentioned last week that these ones are doing way better. They're climbing. These are growing, but they're not really climbing as I'd like them to. But still, who knows? The ones this side might get all the way up and over the arch. Oh, look at that sky. That is a dapperly, cloudy, strange sky. Oh, interesting. Right, back to focus. The parsnip bed. Yeah, let's say they're the disorganised parsnips, because I put a whole packet of seeds in. I have started to thin them out. I didn't expect them all to germinate, so that was a shock and a nice surprise. These red little gem lettuces are really lovely. We've eaten a couple. Again, I'm going to be harvesting another one of those this evening. The cosmos, first time I've ever grown cosmos actually. But yeah, they're very pretty. This one's gone a little bit wayward. The sound of water is I'm currently filling up the water butts there, and we've got beetroot, and this has been loving the weather. I think this is the one. This is possibly the Cylindra one, and yeah, that is really bulked. I've just sown some more beetroot at home, and these are the courgettes, and they're the round ones. I'm trying those this year as opposed to the traditional ones. And yeah, the asparagus, I've definitely got some new growth there. Gave it a good mulch and lots of watering. So yeah, that seems to be doing way better. As usual, some bindweed. So in the polytunnel, I mentioned that I'd emptied out the onion bed, and this is where the onions are drying out at the moment. Some of them are enormous, and yeah, I mean, they're certainly going to be doing a couple of dinners easily with those. More lettuce to go out. I've still got some peppers that these are like sweet peppers that I need to pot on. Tomatoes, 4 of those still here. I'm thinking of having a shuffle round in here, putting the tomatoes along here so that I can string them up. That always sounds so bad, string them up. Aubergines doing well, although I think that looks like there's some sort of white fly. Yeah. And then sweet potato, it's still got its little IV bag, which has gone all horrible yellow because of the sun. So my fault, I haven't put a cover on it. But I think this is slowly growing. It's sort of winding its way round. With it being the anniversary still of me having this plot for a year, I just thought I'd touch upon the subject of being on a waiting list for an allotment. I've mentioned many times I waited over 3 years. It was yeah, pretty much closer to 3.5 years for mine. Now, from what I can deduce from other people's videos and reading forums and things online, that seems to be a sort of average wait, unless maybe you're in certain like cities. I think London and up north, I've even heard people waiting like over 10 years, which must be so frustrating. So what did I do when I was on the waiting list, and did I manage to jump up a little bit? I think I did, and I would like to share those tips with you. They may work for you, they may not, but you know, if it helps a few people out, then here goes. So first of all, in my not last week, the week before's video, when I went through how much I've spent on the allotment, I said the moment I applied for a plot, I started to put some money away every month. Appreciate not everyone can do that, but if you can, I highly recommend it, because the day you get that email, phone call that says, you know, do you still want an allotment? If you've got some savings put to one side, even if it's just to purchase maybe compost, you're going to be needing something. Even you can be really frugal, but you know, you are still going to have to spend some money. So if you've got that piggy bank there, then it's not going to dip into your regular outgoings that you've got, and it saves a lot of stress with yourself, with your bank, family, etc. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is the council that run the site here, they occasionally would send an email just asking if you still wanted to remain on the waiting list. Oh, creepy, it's like the door opening on its own. Now, I would preempt that. So I'd put a little reminder in my calendar, and pretty much every 3 to 4 months, I would just drop them a polite email that said, you know, hi, just to check that I am still on the waiting list. I'm definitely interested still. Very much look forward to hearing from you. And I think, did it help? I'm hoping it did, because it certainly maybe wheedled out the people that, you know, signed up, didn't bother to reply to emails, things like that. So that's my second tip. Very polite nudges to the council, or you know, if it's a privately owned site, just so that they know that you're serious. It wasn't just something that you had on a whim. I know a lot of people during COVID, because they had the extra time, if they'd been furloughed, you know, the uptake on allotments then was, you know, tenfold. So that's tip number two. Tip number three, visit the site. Ours is locked, but the gate is open when there's people in here, and I would come in now and again, and you know, I would just walk along, say hi, and people are at first a little bit suspicious. They're like, we don't recognize you, and I would quickly say to them, I'm on the waiting list for an allotment on this site. I just, you know, wanted to come along and see, you know, how things were going here. Now, I did that a few times, and to be honest, I was on the waiting list for about 4 different sites, and I knew that this was the site I wanted, so I primarily came here, and just by showing my face, and other plot holders would be in regular contact with the council, because, you know, maybe it was to request fencing, or request that, you know, by the gates or the padlocks doesn't work, and you know, so they would occasionally, I think, say, you know, somebody's been here, they're interested, and there's certain plots that look abandoned, you know, what's going on. So again, it's another sort of gentle nudge. So yeah, that's my tip number 3. And tip number 4 is do your homework. Find out what the council or what the committee are prepared to do, and this way you can get prepared for possibly if you need to hire any equipment, if you need to clear a site. Who knows, you might be really lucky. You might take on a plot that's only just been vacated, and you might not have to deal with any rubbish at all, and I really hope that happens. A lot of the time it doesn't. It just really doesn't. So it's worth reading up all the policies, whether they're prepared to assist you in any way, whether they're prepared to take away your rubbish, just so that you can get mentally prepared so it doesn't become overwhelming the day that you get your plot. I mean, I'm a bit of a born organizer myself, probably a bit too much. So to me, it just came quite naturally to, I'd got my ring binder, I knew what my plan, so to me that makes sense. You might be somebody that can fly by the seat of your pants and doesn't get stressed. Wonderful, that's great. But if not, if you feel that taking something on, especially if you're doing it just on your own, if you've got a bit of a plan and you also know what assistance there is, hopefully there is something. Every council is different. This council that I'm with, they just provided ton bags for the rubbish, so I had to fill those. I had to make sure that they were it put in a place to be collected. There was only one collection day, so there was a bit of a time frame to get it all done, but at least I knew what the plan was, and having somebody take all the rubbish was a big headache removed. So I know some councils actually come in and clear it for you, others do even less. So just be aware. Their policies are normally on their council website, or again, when you send that gentle reminder email, show them you're serious. Put a little message in there, you know, I'm planning already. Could you just let me know what your policies are when it comes to me taking on a plot? So fingers crossed for all those who are waiting, that you don't have to wait too much longer. And yeah, I hope somebody can take something away from what I've said. It's looking pretty full in the home garden, and I think it's been some weeks since I've given you an update. I've planted out a few baskets. There's a hanging one there that's not hanging. I need to find a place to put it. The camellia has been repotted. I was quite worried. It was beginning to look a little bit sickly, and now it seems to be flourishing. It's in a much bigger pot with ericaceous soil, and it's had a feed. So yeah, I think it's a happy plant now. I've just watered everything because we're in for high temperatures today. It's going to be the hottest day this week. Yeah, my salix has got slightly wind and sunburnt. I do remember this happening last year, and thankfully it comes back. Really delighted with this clematis. I didn't think any of them would come to much this year, and it proves that neglect sometimes works. I just popped it in the corner there, and it seems to be doing fine. The apple tree, I do have some fruit. Let's have a look. So not a great deal, and they're all really quite small at the moment, but yes, might get a tiny harvest. It's an apple. Arthur Turner is the variety. Actually, I've got a little plaque there, and it's a cooking apple. These baskets are coming through really pretty with the pinks and, you know, the trailing, now they're petunias. I love this hydrangea. It originally came from IKEA in their gardening section. The agapanthus has sent up its flower stalks here, and the other salix tree, I think the one, yeah, that's pretty much looking the same. This is now let me think, this tree, I do know what it is. It will come to me. It's a ornamental pear, that's it, an ornamental pear, and it has really shot up. I did plant ivy, which is nice to sort of disguise the pots, but I do need to cut it back because it's becoming quite invasive now. In the greenhouse, purely flowers, bedding plants in here at the moment. Some geraniums, lots and lots of begonias to go out. I have put quite a few out at the allotment. Some mixed trays down here. I do want to put some planters at the front of my house. The hostas, couple of hostas here. Now these are little tiny teddy bear sunflowers that have suffered a little. I'm going to take those to the allotment. A nice little lavender plant there, which I'm undecided where to go. Back here, yeah, I'm really going to have to do something. I did try and sort this area a while ago, and I still wasn't happy. The bamboo looks scruffy to me. I do need to perhaps move that to the back somewhere. This rose is lovely, but definitely not in the right place. So yeah, that's going to be moving. And now we move on to tomatoes. What every gardener needs in their tiny home garden. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pots of tomatoes in this garden. That's because I've got some at the allotment, some in the polytunnel, and I think there's half a dozen at the front of my house. I wanted to keep some here because the possibility of blight. Nobody grows anything around where I live, so the chances of blight here is pretty remote. And because I just love to see the progress wake up each day, it's nice. I've got different varieties going on. The ones over here are the ones where I don't pinch out the side roots, and in fact we're already getting some tomatoes there. And this is glorious. Sorry about the sun. Let's see if I can show you. This is a standard rose and it's called Birthday Wishes, and it's the one that my sons bought for me on my birthday last November, and it has put on this amazing show. It smells gorgeous as well. I'm just so thrilled with that. We have the calla lilies coming through. Now this clematis is the Snow Queen, and normally it's amazing, but it's had a setback. My roses are suffering here a little bit. I do need to get to grips with pruning and feeding those. And then another hydrangea which has been pulled to the front because it was hidden at the back. Some more calla lilies. And the honeysuckle is enormous. It's intertwined, is a clematis. You could hear the bees if it wasn't for my noisy neighbours. But intertwined is the clematis Marjorie. So they sort of flower slightly different times. So as one finishes, you tend to get the flower of the other. The smell is really quite overpowering at times, but yeah, that has absolutely taken off, along with my neighbour's holly tree, which is just enormous. I tried pruning some of that back last year. Also intermingled in that is blackberry, which I'm grateful for some, but that again is very invasive. Probably as invasive as my Virginia creeper, but that does serve a purpose. That does try and disguise some ugliness. As per usual, we have a pixel cat that's soaking up the sun here, who doesn't seem at all perturbed by the amount of tomato plants that are surrounding him. Yeah, this was the stand that I've moved from the other end just up to here because it enabled me to keep a close eye on these little miniature hostas on the slug and snail patrol. And this is just like my working sort of potting area, and I've planted up a basket here with begonias and lobelia. So yeah, I am hoping to get a lot more colour. I have to keep reminding myself that we are still in June, although very near the end. I've got quite a few months to bring out some more bedding plants. Now here's a question. First time I've ever grown sweet corn, and I've got some different varieties in here. Is that okay? Can you grow different varieties of corn together? I'm really hoping it's a yes, because I don't want to move it. Also, somebody did mention that I could plant them closer together. To be honest, this was the only amount of plants I had. I'm going to do a little bit of sowing some more. I think it's way too late, but if they do come to something, I could try and perhaps squeeze them into the gaps. So thank you so much for joining me, and wishing you a great weekend. Make sure you take care now.